Hello everyone, I'm Krasi, and today I will talk about very interesting movement of Jupiter on the sky, and it is based on the ancient Babylonian astrology. So there was a previous video where I spoke about Jupiter in Scorpio and how the energies of Scorpio influence Jupiter and what interaction they may have together. Now, Jupiter is in Scorpio from November 2018 until approximately November 2019, and he will have one phase of invisibility about which I will talk separately, and also on the 16th of April he will become retrograde, and I will address this also separately. Now I will talk about something else which is interesting. You can hear it developed by Vedic ancient astrologers, but there is also opinion on this in the ancient Babylonian or astrology. Now, it is known that the last 3 degrees of every sign are considered inauspicious. And even more interesting is that now on the 13th of March, Jupiter is in the 29 degrees of Scorpio. And there you're having one very powerful star, and this is Shaula. And Shaula is a star in the sting, especially exactly the sting of the scorpion. What is Shaula associated with? Of course, logically, this will be poison because this is the sting of the scorpion. I will talk in a second more about this, but before that, to tell you that on the 5th of April, Jupiter is becoming stationary, so he will be approximately 10 days stationary. And while stationary, he will be emphasizing on a Saturnine term. It is a section of the sign which is ruled by Saturn. So Jupiter will be stationary and will be influenced influencing the Saturnine turn of Scorpio. And then on the 16th of April, he will become retrograde, but this is quite, this is very interesting, and I will address this separately. So what is Shaula? Now, Shaula is a star, very, very complex, very specific. It is associated, as we said, with poison. So people who are dealing with poison, holistic doctors, surgeons, medical doctors, lawyers, scientific researchers, teachers, philosophical teaching people, will certainly have this particular star, Shaula, on a key position in their chart. This is for certain, and I've seen this in many charts, especially when this happens on the ascendant or conjunct with the sun, with the moon. These people will certainly have the influence, have one of the just listed profession. So what is happening is that during this period, which I told you from the 13th of March until 5th of April, Jupiter will be in this particular, very near, in the vicinity of Shaula. So what can we expect? First of all, Jupiter in Scorpio, this is quite a complex combination. Jupiter is not feeling bad in Scorpio because this is his own triplicity rulership. It means that when he rules Pisces, Scorpio is a sign which forms a trine with Pisces, and there Jupiter is in a way dignified. So this is not such a bad position for him. But on the other hand, Jupiter being diurnal, daily planet, placed in nocturnal, female sign, he experiences this in a very different way from his own masculine, diurnal, joyful nature. So what is happening that from the influences of Shaula, we can expect the people to be influenced in a very deep, esoteric way. While Jupiter is conjunct Shaula, especially before becoming stationary and reaching another small clusters of stars, or it's, let's say differently, stars which are projected in the 30th degrees of Scorpio. Then on the 5th of April, Jupiter will start experiencing different influences, and they will be of 3 important stars. One is the fox, Ara, and the head of the dog. And these particular stars are projected in the 30 degrees of Scorpio, of the Scorpion. This is still in the vicinity of Shaula, but these degrees are a little bit more complex and maybe sinister, and this is all happening still in the Saturnine section of the Scorpion, of Scorpio. So what is this? Actually, these are degrees of called isolation. People will desire to isolate themselves. These are degrees of fortune tellers, of people with extremely powerful intuition. So imagine if you're having this happening for you in a powerful place in your chart, it will be very appropriate, especially until from 30th of March until 5th of April, especially during this period, to complete educational project or something associated with knowledge. Now, you may be experiencing these influences of Saturn and Shaula, and you may feel melancholic, because these are degrees of melancholy as well. I don't want to say the word depression. It's so modern and so the energies are what I don't really like, but you may experience moments of feel melancholic. But how you can win over these negative emotions is really through studies, digging deep into esoteric studies, the ones of Shaula, of the poison. Like if you're investigating into ancient philosophical teachings, alchemy, these are the degrees of the alchemics. Doctors, holistic doctors, homeopathy, surgeons, even pathologists, those who do the dissection of the body. So these are very powerful degrees associated. They're also really powerful because you know that Scorpio is the sign where we're having a royal star, and this royal star is Antares. So this Scorpio, Taurus is the axis of money. So this is very, very powerful. So everything that we are experiencing will have significance, especially if this is happening on your ascendant, on an axis like descendant, imum selling, a lower meridian, upper meridian, conjunct with your sun, conjunct with your moon. You will experience this particular placement of Jupiter powerfully. Jupiter is always joyful. Jupiter is a beautiful planet, but when in Saturnine section of the Scorpion, when with Shaula, the energies that we may experience will be a little bit complex. We may, very appropriate for deep philosophical teachings, what Jupiter is all about. Also, let's think again, what is exactly Scorpio? Now, Scorpio is a sign which is ruled in the ancient, according to the ancient Babylonian mythology, by Ishtara or Ereshkigal. And this is divinity. This is one of the heliacophases of Venus, which is descending into the netherworld. And she is associated also with healing, with magic. So if we really want to benefit from these particular degrees, we can benefit in terms for healing, teaching, new knowledge in architecture, in healing, in alchemy, and all this, especially until 5th of April. After that, from 5th of April until 15th of April, Jupiter is becoming stationary again in the Saturnine turn. And as I told you, he will be exactly where these 3 stars of mediumship, clairvoyance, powerful intuition are projected. And Ara, the fox, and the head of the dog. Very, very much about intuition, but also about melancholy. So here I'm telling you this because if Jupiter on a key position in your chart is not bringing in particular the joy, protection, blessing that you expect, this is because most probably he is pointing towards another activity that you may like to exercise, and this will be studies, literature, com completing studies. This should be done before Jupiter becomes retrograde. So remember, if you feel melancholic or you feel that Jupiter is not bringing you the joy that he usually does, know that you maybe need to change the focus on the usual things. And this is happening until 15th of April. And then on the 16th of April, he's becoming a retrograde, which is a very, very different phase, because then he will be changing terms, and then he will be showing and reviewing very different influences and energies, and about them I will talk a little bit later. So I thought this is very important to tell you. Benefit from these particular energies of Jupiter within the sting of Scorpio. And remember, he is actually not bad there. He is dignified because he is in his own triplicity. He is ruling Pisces, and this is a trine form between his own sign and Scorpio. And yes, these are degrees of depth, of the degrees of the sign ruled by Ereshkigal, and the depth given by Pluto. Now, you may not indeed experience the full joy of Jupiter, also because Pluto, the ruler of the sign, is with Saturn. Let's not forget this. And Saturn is limiting and is changing a little bit the energies of Pluto, especially when we know that Saturn is a little bit more powerful, being in smaller degrees than Pluto, which is happening in Sagittarius. So this is quite a complex situation. And I see this as a blessing in terms of knowledge. At this particular time, I will be doing my best to obtain more ancient philosophical knowledge from the ancients in particular, because this is a Scorpio, and these are the degrees of Saturn, which is ruling, especially the ancient past life knowledges and all these things. So I hope this was useful just to explain you about these particular energies of the 29th and the 30th degrees of Scorpio and how Jupiter will feel there. I am not making videos, of course, on every particular degree which Jupiter is passing, but this is important because this is a star of importance, and importance on how to benefit from this particular period, which is actually not that short, and it is until 16th of April. So thank you. If you like to contact me, you can find my details, and your comments are welcome.